we're going to be checking out some Power Wash Simulator 2. And the big reason I'm going out of my way to do this is because hecking Star Wars. Which is good enough reason for anything. So I don't remember at all what progress we've gotten here. Oh, it's not much is what we got. I know oh, you know what I think it was? I think I went to play this the first time on stream, and it was like super bad performance and crashy at that point. Like right when it first came out, it had some heckin' problems. But yeah. So with that said, let's go ahead and we can pop in here. I actually don't remember what all accessibility stuff it had. I remember there's like changing the reticle and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, access the jabs via the county map in the upstairs office of the house. Let me make one adjustment to our graphics because it's going a little not amazing frame rate. So lock that in at 60. Where do you probably have... Oh no, it's not that bad. Dynamic shadow resolution. You keep it on that. Drop it. Alright. So... access story jobs via the county map in the upstairs office home base. Is that not what I'm looking at here? Is that not a county map? Okay, well I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to do the DLC. I already own the DLC. Don't show me the DLC. I literally downloaded it before stream and everything. Yeah, so it looks like it's here. So start washing. There we go. You're the best cleaning droid in the Outer Rim. Well, I'll be the judge. We've had another sandstorm. Bad one. I knew it was coming when the flyhorns took off. As you'll see, the homestead is encrusted mud sand. I need you clearing up the lot. Alright. I'm not sure if you hear it. It's got blaster sounds. I'm trying to remember, was it? So I was trying to remember for the life of me, there is a button. And there, it's not that one. There we go. To be fair, Lars is stubborn. Yeah, so we got some stuff that's gunked in there properly. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say it's pretty unlikely that on a desert planet where you quite literally farm water, you are probably not paying someone to use a pressure washer to clean your stuff. It's not even paying for labor, I think. Okay. It's also amusing to me that of all the Star Wars things they could do, it's like, oh yeah, the Lars homestead. That's the ticket. Which it's fine, it's cool, but it's just a surprising choice. Alright. Got to create so the Empire comes around, they can buck it up really good. Yup. You wouldn't happen to understand their binary language of moisture evaporators, do you? What about Baka? You speak that? Anything? I'll take that as a no. The search continues, I guess. So we still got the small pipe here. And you got some pipes with some good old Arabesh on it. Oh, we'll miss a lot of spots. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure... Remember, is there not music to this game? Audio. Nope. I'm not seeing a music volume. I mean, I'm not even worried about the Star Wars music, which is fair, because, I mean, honestly, it would mean my stream would get muted on the VOD and everything, too. Because you know that's what's going to happen anytime you're booting up anything Disney or Star Wars. That VOD is toast. Well, muted. Definitely can see, like, hey, boot up, like, the new, whatever, like, a new TIE Fighter game or whatever. Okay, streamer mode, and just the music turns off. Or even funny, it's just replaced and you have like Flight of the Bumblebees, Hall of the Mountain King. Okay, so just doing it once over really fast to try and get all like the minor stuff on it. Yeah, I wish more games were better about that. Where it's like, okay, by all means use the copywritten music for anyone who wants it. But like, you know, for content creator, streamer mode, whatever, just have this is in the same style. Because the number of times you run into stuff and they just don't have a streamer mode, or you get the streamer mode and it's like 5 classical tracks that are like just DMCA safe. And it's one thing when you go, okay, it's this little indie game, sure, they didn't, you know, the music wasn't this person's area of expertise. They didn't have a budget, I get it. Fair enough. You used a bunch of classical or otherwise free music and all that. Make sure you do a good job, the sand gets everywhere when you let it. Guess it's just the way that roof is. Yep. The Lars homestead. Gotta make sure it's up to Owen and Aunt Brew's standard. That's interesting. Well, supposedly there was a sandstorm that came in, and so everything's caked in sand. Luckily, this isn't real life where you're trying to deal with, like, practically having mud all over the ground from everything you've gotten free with the pressure washer. The neatest pew every time it starts and stops for this DLC is just excellent. Did you really clean up the scorched remains? No, this is before. That's actually one of those things that a lot of, like, parents and all that forget when they're like, oh yeah, we can watch Star Wars with my kid for the first time. You know, it's this, like, hero's journey. It'll be totally fine. Like, yeah, they shoot some laser beams, but it's not that big a deal. Completely forgetting about one of the opening scenes being, you know, the aunt and uncle torched and Luke seeing their dead bodies. Like, I don't remember this movie being nearly this violent. Or like getting yoinked under in the trash compactor. You're like, oh yeah, for a 5-year-old, this would be very, very scary, actually. Oh yeah, no, it's super easy to overlook. And then it's also one of those things that, like, yeah, it's very important scene for the setup of, like, oh, why are they just noping out? Oh, wait, that's the dead family laying right there. But it's also just a scene that doesn't usually stick with you. It's just a scene that kind of drives the story forward. There is zero chance, as, like, a farmer or whatever, living in the middle of the desert, you're going to try and keep your place, like, the level of immaculately clean we're getting with this pressure washer. You're going to walk outside once and walk in the door and just have a trail. Like, I could see you keeping, like, a room, like, if you had, you know, an infirmary or something, you'd be like, okay, we keep this room super clean. Or if, like, for part of the process you have, like, a room you need to keep particularly clean, like sanitized or whatever, sure. Alright. Yeah, and, like, growing up, like, Luke with his blue milk, that's stuck in my brain more than the, where Luke comes back to the house and it's all burned down. Because you're like, blue milk? That's weird. Oh, the satisfying pings. Probably the one main feature of Pressure Wash Simulator. Are you a droid? Yes. Supposedly we are a droid. The droid of psychopaths who leaves everything out while pressure washing. Oh yeah, that's been a thing since the very first pressure washer simulator. Where you're sitting there, you're blasting the pressure washer and you're cleaning off your concrete with, like, you know, the full power thing. And then you immediately turn around and go up to, like, a canvas top umbrella and you blast it at the exact same level. And you're like, yeah, that's definitely fine. You didn't definitely just rip a hole through that canvas umbrella. Like, genuinely, when I worked selling tools and lawn and garden stuff, we did sell pressure washers. And it was a thing that every, like, once a year or so, they would have, I don't know what you'd even call it, like a trade show thing, that basically they'd show us all the new models of pressure washers that would be available to sell the next year and blah, blah, blah. And some of those things, you'd crank them up to the top volume, and you wouldn't just clean your name into the ground, you would carve the concrete on its highest pressures. Like, you're not supposed to, like, get the highest focus and just go to concrete and just go for it up close. And so, like, yeah, you point that at a window, or you point that at, like, canvas anything, you're just annihilating whatever it is. Something can cut wood. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, you know, I'm talking about like carving your name in something, like concrete or whatever. You take that to wood, it'll do the same thing. That's like the number of people I've known who have injured themselves because they were pressure washing, and of course crap gets on everything, so they want to like rinse themselves off. And so they're sitting there pressure washing the driveway, and then they'll turn to their leg to, like, you know, wash the junk off their leg, and then immediately cut into their leg real badly. That was something that happened to my dad. He did that, and they ended up having to put staples in his leg because, you know, you use pressure washers to cut meat. Guess what the human body's made out of? As people who play RimWorld constantly want to remind. So he was laid up for a good week or so at least. Oh yeah, no, they cut stone with water. They cut metal with water. You get enough pressure behind it, you can get a pretty good... You can cut lots of things. There used to be the same thing I'd tell, like, anytime I sold a pressure washer, was like, don't point this at yourself. Like, just don't, man. It's like, you're gonna be digging dirt out of concrete and, like, carving gunk that you can't, you know, do with a hose or anything. With this, don't point it at yourself. When I'm not saying about don't point at your face, I mean don't point at yourself at all. Like, if you want to, detach the hose and just point the regular old boring hose at yourself. Oh, I can't actually climb under there. That's fine. Isn't water mixed with very fine materials for that kind of pressure cutting? Not necessarily. It could be. But water by itself will cut metal and stone and all that, once you put enough pressure behind it. Okay, I don't see anything else in there, but that doesn't mean there's anything else. This ceiling being this dark color is absolutely trolly. Same principle as hitting water falling fast enough. It's like hitting concrete. Yup. That's one of the episodes I really appreciated with Mythbusters. So there's the old myth about, you know, someone falling off of these like bridges that are suspended bridges hundreds of feet above the water. So, you know, like a height above the water that genuinely you're going to be basically at terminal velocity. And yeah, and there's all these stories about like, well, this person made it because they dropped their hammer ahead of time and broke surface tensions. Like, that's not going to be meaningful at all. It's the classic, like, the person, you know, the elevator falling 10 stories and them jumping at the last second and having that do. It's like, okay, if we get into the physics, yes, you can have the whole discussion around, well, if you're dropping at speed X and you put a force at the opposite direction of speed Y, that will reduce the amount of force and yada yada yada. But you're better off just being ready to, like, absorb the impact in your legs, which, you know, you're gonna break your legs, man, if not worse. But there's all these things like, oh yeah, the hammer fell below and broke surface tension. Like, I don't think surface tension's the problem here, man. I'm sure it's not helping you, but I think it's the sudden deceleration after all of that distance that is the real issue here. Okay, so that is just the color that is. Hey, Uncle Owen, you didn't tell me we had a new droid on the farm. You're from Mechas 3, aren't you? A POW2 worker droid? Great, even droids have some more of the galaxy than me. I'm glad I went with a whiny voice. That's, for Anakin and all that, when they have young Anakin and how whiny they make him, not really young Anakin, but how whiny they make him be, and people are like, oh my god, why would he do that to that character? And then you see, like, the flashbacks to Luke on Tatooine, and you're like, you know what? Luke was whiny as hell, too. Luke early in episode 4, he was a whiny kid. To be fair, I can empathize there, because farming, being stuck just sitting around the farm all the time, that can be pretty boring on its own right for like a teenager, early 20-something. And then you turn that around and go, okay, by the way, you farm water in the desert, which is basically just going to these big pole things every once in a while and be like, yo, there water in here? No? Alright. Well, let me just clean stuff from sand all the time. And just in a big desert, cleaning all my stuff from sand. Mostly because my uncle doesn't want me to go anywhere because, you know, Dad was not a great person at the end there. The end of course, rough gets everywhere. Fun fact, canonically, Luke likes sand. Canonically, Luke likes sand. Luke does not like water planets. Which is somewhat weird with where he ends up in, like, episodes 7, 8, and 9. What about Silt? They don't go into that. In the comic books that came out after the canon reset, there's a situation where Luke almost drowns and, like, drags himself ashore on the beach. And is like, ever mentioned how much I love sand? As you know, he's, like, half drowned on the beach. The Star Wars comics, the newer ones, actually get pretty decent. Like, none of them are going to be edge of your seat, you know, big shocker storytelling or anything. But if you're just looking for some, you know, wanna see Darth Vader be a total badass and all that, it delivers. I actually have no idea how the DLC works in Pressure Washer Simulator 2. Like, I didn't check if there's, like, a ton of maps. I would assume for the price you get more than one map. As long as we get to pressure wash the aluminum Falcon. I also love how in this game they make such excuses for why everything is almost like uniformly coated in just gunk. Even though, like, if you take any step into think about it, like, wait, this is not at all how this filth would get all over everything. But that's not important to the game. The whole idea of the game is just taking the one big thing with pressure washing that's incredibly cathartic and just, you know, you have dirty spot, you spray it, you have clean spot, and then putting a satisfied dopamine kicking in ting. 6 maps? That's pretty good. I was given a key, so I don't know what the price is. Yeah, 6 map, you know, 6 maps isn't bad for a DLC, all depending on the price. It's different. I've played the original Pressure Washer Simulator a couple times on the channel. The big reason why I wanted to do this one is it's Star Wars. And while I don't get to stream Star Wars very much because it just mute the VOD and all that, and a lot of the games wouldn't necessarily be the best fit for the channel. Looking forward to the new pod racing game. Looks awesome. Yeah, I hope so. That's actually like... So like the old pod racing games and all that were so well received. It was such a shocker that they kind of did that. And they're like, okay, there's the pod racing game. But like, revisit that? Nah, man. Why it'd be, you know, expand upon, revisit, you know, something so beloved. You're looking forward to the Star Wars XCOM like? I was unaware of that one coming. Admittedly, I've not kept up with the Star Wars games. To be fair, I haven't kept up with most of the major published games. Which a big part of that is until recently, they were like nearly exclusively EA. It's only been the last couple that they finally broke out of that after EA bungled the Battlefield 2 release so badly. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things with Outlaws. That's been on my list for probably on my own time to circle back and play that. Yeah, they're published by EA, but not developed by them. Yeah, no, I know you played a lot of Outlaws. You're completely out of the loop on AAAs because you can only run indies? Yeah. Yeah, no, I could go for that, because, like, if you think back to, Star Wars, like, Knights of the Old Republic, not the MMORPG, the turn-based, like, Dungeons & Dragons tactical style game. Like, that game, if we're being honest, story, great, amazing. If we're being honest about the gameplay, not the best. Like, the stories and the characters were absolutely great, but, like, the actual combat was kind of something you endured to get more of the story. Nah, so for actually the meme is going to be that all of them show like accuracy of 1 or 2%, but they hit every single shot. I'm gonna do a thing real fast, don't mind me. Okay. That way I can check it after stream. Because if I don't grab that link, I won't remember. I appreciate the random Star Wars sounds added. When we jump, we get the little... What was the button? There it is. Because I find doing it this way is way less motion sickness inducing. And I imagine it has to be better to watch versus this. Oh, the thing turning on and off sounds like a blaster to me. Hey, you wouldn't want to stay here after this, would you? I'm hoping I can leave the farm soon to join Biggs at the academy. If my uncle and aunt had some help around the place, maybe I could leave early. It's okay. I can always go to Taji's station to get some power converters. Okay. I'm imagining on a planet where you literally are paid to farm like cups of water. Like that's how precious it is. Just having like a little planter this size of water is like, you know, flaunting wealth of water. It's like, oh yeah, man. I got so much water. I could grow a silly little herb. Okay. The Aunt and Uncle Skywalker must have been loaded, by the way. Being able to afford a power washer in the desert. You mean Lars? Okay. Poor little gonk droid. Alright. And it'll be a thing no matter how careful we are. We'll get the most of this area cleaned up, and then we'll have like just a bunch of little detail work and all that to go through. It is normal. You just kind of do a quick pass, get everything cleaned up, and then you kind of get your details and all that. Oh, so there's like a thing. So you get a bunch of different wands. So like if I look here, I've got this one which is just actually they've got this one which is like a soap sprayer. You've got this one that does like a little spiral. That's a wider spiral. You've got this one which is like 3 wide sprayer. And you have this one I've been using here. Oh, that one you can just switch the nozzle. And the one I've been using, I can adjust the nozzle as I want. So like when I'm doing finer details, I can just narrow it up. I feel like, if I remember correctly, you have to unlock all those through the normal story. Like you have to spend, like you earn money doing your stuff and then you spend it. Yeah, see where it's like gunked in here real good. I'll narrow up the nozzle. I'm thinking for the DLC mission, rather than make you play through the campaign and unlock everything, it feels like they just gave it to you. Which is fine. I remember there's a button to make everything blink that's dirty so you can see it. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so most of the while you'll notice we can just kind of do one pass on a lighter nozzle, but then there'll be some gunk caked on there really good that we have to then go in there for more. I haven't noticed as much in this one. The original one, you had some things were considered like fabric, and some things were considered like hard materials and all that. It almost feels like they got away from that and they're just like, okay, it's just, this one's, you know, extra grimy, that one's just normal grimy. Don't worry about what the material's made out of. For the record, this is actually one of the things I really like about the Star Wars universe that always made it more interesting to me than like a lot of sci-fi at the time. Is the Star Wars universe felt authentic in that everything looked very lived in. You know, nothing stays like pristine very long. But when you were watching a lot of Star Trek back in the day, I mean, Star Trek got better about it pretty quick. Like, you watch a lot of sci-fi back in the day, all the ships are, like, perfectly pristine, like, exposed aluminum and all that kind of stuff, and every last bit of it was, like, super well polished, and you're like, man, this person's supposedly collecting garbage. There's no way this thing is nearly that clean. Like, you're not going to put the time into keeping that all topped off and nice and nice and polished up and everything. Like, once in a long while, you might, like, take it in for a detailing and it looks that nice. But that's gonna be the exception. For the most part, that was true in Star Wars. Like, the only ships we ever saw that were, like, super-duper pristine and all that was, like, the Naboo ships, where they're like, okay, you know, that's just, like, a thing with them. You know, they're talking, like, royalty and whatever. Alright, Luxray, you take it easy. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You look at a lot of the Empire ships. Broadly speaking, they're better kept than most of the ships you see, but they still have a lot of like utilitarian of just wires hanging out here and there. That like they're all attached to stuff, but you know, it's not like immaculately placed. It's very utilitarian. All right. The master bedroom alcove. When the main walls get a ding, it goes blind for a few seconds. No, we just did that. Like, they do a really good job in this game of, like, making it so you go through this area and you kind of get those very satisfying sounds. Uncle Owen says you might be a bit too specialist to help out here. We'd have to somehow get you a vocabulator installed and some new tools, but good luck finding those on this rock. All right. Okay, we got all that going. Such a weird design. You'd imagine being like buried in the earth here, like they would have just a straight up door instead of a pit for all, like, the sand to pile up in. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, as far as places you pressure wash, I could see this one's a fairly obvious one. Some place in the Death Star would make sense just to have it. You could certainly include, like, the Millennium Falcon at some point. It all really depends on what they want to include, whether it's, like, old canon, new canon, you know, prequels, sequels, whatever. I'm assuming it's gonna be mostly around the first 3 movies, so far as 4, 5, and 6. Just because, you know, Star Wars is really ridiculous about it. It's like, no, everything needs to be canon. So if we're starting off at what's effectively the opening scene, well, not necessarily the opening scene, that's the Tantive 4. But, you know, starting you off at, like, one of the very beginning scenes of Star Wars A New Hope, it really does feel like they'd either follow just A New Hope or follow the original trilogy. Okay. Well, it's getting to look pretty nice. I still got the junk in the middle that's a hot mess, but that's fine. Okay. Alright. Honestly, of the chores you have to do outside, as far as, like, mowing, weed whacking, and all that, I'd definitely say pressure washing is one of the ones I would rather do the most. Like, the setup can suck with it, where it's just, you know, getting all your hoses all connected, getting everything ready and all that. But if you're just going to be out there, like, doing the chore, like, it's nice because it's cathartic. It's nice because you at least can kind of cool down in the water. So as you're, like, standing out there, you know, in the sun and all that, you're getting, you know, at least misted, if not more. Sure, everything gets to be a mess on you over the time you're doing it, so that kind of sucks. That's kind of true of most yard work anyways. Was that blaster shot? Yeah, when it starts and stops, it makes a blaster noise. All right. And we've got all these. But yeah, no. Power Wash Simulator is just a great game for when you just kind of want to be like just hanging out, relaxing, chit-chat and shooting the breeze, whatever, just vibing. You got something going on your other screen. Maybe not having to focus on it too much. And I can't say for 2, but if you play the first one and you pay attention to the story, it is wildly unhinged. Okay. Power Wash Simulator lore is incredible. Oh yeah. And it's just, it's one of those things, just think it's like, oh, it's just a game where you're going to be doing power wash things. You know, just another job simulator. And then you get into the story and there's cults and all sorts of stuff. I won't spoil it. But like, you can completely miss the entire story if you're not paying attention. And it is wild. Hey, Azrael, how's it going? Good, it's Friday. Hope you're having yourself a good Friday then. All right. Okay, so it looks like the evaporate in the middle is going to be a little bit of a pain. Just lots of little individual parts. All right. Okay. Looks like the lip up there needs to be cleaned from the top. It looks like they added a mechanic to this one that areas that you haven't finished, it'll put a little target board. So you can kind of figure out where they're at. All right. There we go. The one downside is it keeps moving it around, so I start working on something, it teleports it away, which is fine. But it makes it kind of hard to gauge what actually needs working on. All right. Okay. The classic of almost everything, you want to get either over it or under it. Okay. We're getting pretty close to getting the moisture evaporators cleaned up. Oh, hey. Once it's cleaned, it's moved around. All right. Okay. Completely missed those two. Alright, so just got this last little bit of stuff to clean up. Because we're at 99% cleaned. And if you hit tab, it'll list everything you haven't done. So if you're having problems finding it, you'd be like, okay. And so Power Wash Simulator 1 didn't have this thing where it's like targeting being like, oh, it's over there. But you would see the list and I was like, okay, based on the name of this thing, where do I think this is? Okay. There's lots of little nooks and crannies with gunk on it. You probably notice you don't have to get everything perfect. Once you get over like a certain percent of something, it'll just give you the credit for the rest of it. I see a pretty bad spot up there. Okay. Okay, some part of you needs to be cleaned. All right. And do a particularly good job on these storage containers. Okay, we have a frame next. Okay, what part are you? That section of the wall. That's a probe droid sound I'm hearing. Okay. Okay, looks like there's a spot. Okay, now you're pointing me over here. All right. So we have finished the job. Everything is cleaned. Rig up. Great job, P0. Uncle Owen says that you're headed to Mos Eisley next. I give you a lift in my speeder, but I'm not allowed to go there. Besides, I can feel the rumbling of the sandcrawler approaching, and Uncle Owen's gonna need me for any negotiations. Alright, continue. Alright, Moss Isley Cantina. Hey, you're the cleaning droid? Good, cause things just got messy back at the cantina. Clean the whole place. I've already tossed Wooer more than enough credits to cover it. You'll need to impress him quickly, though. He won't be a fan of yours. Alright, so we're going to the cantina. And we can all just pretend it's playing the Moss Isley Cantina music. Okay. It's just like, okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, like, so within the cantina, there's 2 times that, like, violence occurs. So far as with Han Solo and all that. Neither of which would involve the bulk of the place being a problem. It would be you'd go to the one booth, and the one booth would be not great. Hey, no droids allowed. What do you think you're doing? Wookiee dialect detected. Relax, Wooer. It's a Class 3 worker droid. Jabba ordered catering. Okay. Dibar's gonna have some impressive grind buildup. Oh no, absolutely. And again on a desert planet where everyone is gonna be tracking in sand and dirt and all that. But like, the idea that Han Solo's like, yeah, I made a little bit of a mess, so like, I need you to clean it up. And then by that I mean he means like the whole bar. Without moving anyone's cups or anything. Alright. Oh, the Raja and Dubak dung. Yup. Okay. Honestly, I'm finding this one, like, way more straightforward for just going through little by little. It looks like these ladders aren't something you have to clean. Now, in real life, you would not want to do this the way I'm doing it. You always want to start at what's above you first and work your way down. I mean, ideally, you'd want to get higher up, but still. Because when you're pressure washing, it's just going to kind of run down the walls and all that. Okay. Gentlemen, you know how I feel about droids. Make an exception this one time, okay? The Corellian's already paid, and we don't want any more Imperial sniffing around. If you say so, but this isn't the end of it. Alright. That's a good cleaning advice, even when not pressure washing, really. Like, supposed to knock something over while cleaning on high. Well, at least you don't have to clean the floor yet. Yeah. No, it's like anytime you're cleaning, you start at the top, work your way down. Unless there's a really good reason why you can't do it that way. And even then, I can't come up with any really good reasons. I'm not doing up, top to bottom because of what I just said. I'm kind of doing it top to bottom because, like, looking down at the tables, there's all sorts of, dishware and lights, and the floor is a little hard to see and all that. Like, there's a bunch of junk going on there to, like, make it visually noisy. Versus the ceiling is pretty much just flat. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably have the ceiling done here pretty quick. Before I get distracted over there. Get this archway. Okay. Word of warning, Imperial officers are scouting for droids. It has something to do with some stolen plans. Think you had nothing to do with it? Weird alligator head thing on the wall there. All right. And we're already getting the last of this taken care of now. Okay. Now, you already have most of the outer hood for the bar as well. There we go. Well, there is one place with a bunch of yellow blood on the ground, so there's a little bit of evidence there that something happened. So the assumption would be this would be after Obi-Wan showed up, not Greedo. Just spraying the playing cards too. Okay. Wash the Sabak deck? Yeah, I heard it was dirty Sabak. Just want to make sure it's clean. Hold on, I can see some Storge sniffing outside again. I'm sure it's probably, they're just probably passing through. All right. Yeah, compared to the Lars homestead where, you know, so much of it was just kind of like weirdly shaped alcoves and all this. Doing the bar where it's nearly symmetrical and all that is very straightforward by comparison. Okay. And they just leave money on the counter too? Sure, why not? Needs to be like crime scene cleaner, where you yoink the cash. Yeah, there'd definitely be some fun to be had there. All right. It's gonna be really hard to get around all these little poles. Okay. And we got all of this. And I also remember when I used to sell pressure washers, like while we were there, the company I worked for, which it was a bunch of lawn and garden stuff, not just pressure washers. Just and specifically and exclusively for pressure washers, we started adding a restocking fee if you tried to return it. Because it got to the point that literally there was a reputation of the, you know, quote-unquote Sears rental service, which there was a rental service, but that wasn't what was being discussed. You would buy your pressure washer, or you buy a pressure washer, go home, pressure washer whatever needed pressure washing, and then bring it back and return it. And it was to the point that, like, there was discussion if we should even bother selling them anymore, like that kind of thing, because of how frequent of an issue it was. So then they taxed it something like a 30% restocking fee too. It was a very high restocking fee. Now to be clear, if you you brought home and said, "Hey, it didn't work, I want a different one," then, you know, you wouldn't get hit with the restocking fee. It's only if, like, you just straight up tried to return it. Okay. I'm not going to be able to pay attention at all to which ones we actually got and which ones we didn't. Hey, there was that one Queen of Mafia game where you yoink valuables. Yep. Yeah, that's what they're talking about, was crime scene cleaner. Okay. And we just have these little alcoves over here. Mobile app, please. Oh, it's like the Twitch mobile app being a pain. All right. All right. Yep. Okay, we got another thing done there. Yep, last map was the Skywalker Homestead. Yep. Yeah, we did Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's place were from a New Hope. And they were going to the cantina. So my assumption is we'll go around and follow the story a little bit. I mean, of course, it could also be that we just stay on Tatooine the whole time. Because if there's 6 maps and this is map number 2, you could have Jabba's Palace as a map. You could have the hangar / the Millennium Falcon as a map. That's already 4. Depending on if you're talking like later stuff and all that, you could certainly get some of the places like where Boba Fett's set up in the in his own show. Some of the stuff where like the Obi-Wan series goes into, you could clean up like Obi-Wan's cave, which is a weird one to consider. That looks like this one's all done. Just the Rancor pit, not even like Jabba the Hutt's place, just the Rancor pit. Careful not to spray the Rancor, he gets angry. What we did have on the first map, we had a gonk droid that we once we cleaned it up, it started rolling around and doing stuff, which was pretty cool. Because I haven't played enough of Power Wash Sim 2. I played a little bit, I haven't played enough. But the idea of having some like actual characters that show up or whatever is interesting. Even like I don't need them to be like anything famous or whatever. Like having it so like the Rancor's just sitting there kind of watching you as you're cleaning, like in his little cage or whatever, and you're in the pit cleaning up everything. Okay, cool. Gotta get that space. Mouse droid's all gummed up and runs around after cleaning. Yeah, like I said, we had the gonk droid in the first map. Looks like those stormtroopers are finally leaving. Wait, what's Wooer doing talking to him? The idea that he's like texting me, that's like, why is the person you're cleaning the place talking to the stormtroopers? Like, why would you say that to the random cleaning droid? All right. Pocket dimension to plane elemental water. Yeah. So one thing I could also see, if they wanted to like actually have a story to this, that Wooer talks to them, and then the stormtroopers capture us, and then we end up on the Death Star. And for some reason they make us clean up Death Star area. All right. This might be the very last room. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sure we've missed something out there. But compared to the first one where I had to run around a whole lot to, like, suss out the one or two things not one or two things, suss out all the things I miss, I'm feeling relatively good that there's only a handful of things we missed on this one. Like, you could definitely guess at least one of those metal things in the middle we probably missed. Hey, Suey, thanks so much for the raid. Can we get a shout out for Suey? Another fantastic content creator and fellow member of the Halcyon Frequency stream team, the stream team that I'm on. I'm assuming by context that you were playing Power Wash Simulator as well, that you too were probably doing the Star Wars one. Still working through the first one? Oh, I completely missed that it was the first one, not the second one. You know, I played it a long time ago, the first one. I never did finish all of it, though. All right. Okay, so it's the lamp. There we go. So it's the ball thing there. But yeah, no, again, if you're looking for more Power Wash Simulator and all that kind of stuff, Zoo is also playing the first one. Not the second one. But in a lot of ways, the two of them are kind of the same idea. This just has a couple of quality of life things that are missing from the other one. Okay, so let's get this ball thing. There we go. All right. And just the final touches. Yeah. Also, look, 2 implemented the marker stuff towards the end. Yeah, no, that's definitely one of those ones I appreciate. So this is the Mos Eisley Cantina. Droid, you've been commandeered under suspicion of espionage. We think you might be one of the droids we're looking for. Even if you're not, we'll find you useful. Okay. So we'll continue. We're going to Hoth. That is not where I was anticipating this going for the next one. Just bypass the entire Death Star thing and we're going to go to Hoth. Okay. Droid, following our overwhelming victory, the Blizzard 3 AT-AT is at the rendezvous point, fully operational and standing down. Extraction protocols have been initiated. Begin decontamination and lubrication processes. We are going to go a little bit long since we had that raid in right towards the end. All right. Let's go get them toe flaps. Oh, the hover scissor lift? Nice. Computer transmission. Update status, Blizzard 3. Objective achieved. Rebel shield generator destroyed. Lord Vader has secured the base. No farther signs of resistance. All right. And we're just cleaning up the little toesies. Okay. So we got some crusted on stuff here. I do like the difference in, like, the maps you've had in these, where some of them, you know, you're dealing with, like, buildings and skate parks and all that sort of stuff, and then you have, like, a car or whatever. All right. And... oh, hang on. I was confused when it said pick up. All right. You want to know how it prevents freezing? Yeah, and I was thinking that as well. It's like, you know, it's not supposed to be just like a little cold on Hoth. It's supposed to be like stupid cold. It's because they're cleaning with lubricant, of course. They did ask you to lube it up? They did. Alright. Alright. Okay, and slowly raising this thing. That might be as high as this one goes. South Hangar captured, sir, but we were unable to prevent the Corellian freighter's escape. Over. Understood. The Star Troopers will pick him off soon enough. This one's going to be an interesting one to clean from trying to get up to some of the stuff. Trying to remember. That's right. You can do long distance extremely well. Which is good, because you's a tall boy. forgot how well this thing worked. You ever been that close to Lord Vader before? Never. Okay, cut it out, you two. Alright. So basically I'm just going where we've got this position. We're just going to hit everything we can from here. And they'll move the hover scissor lift someplace else. And hit what we can from there. Alright. Okay, so that leg's too far for me to reach. Yeah, down there's too far for me to reach, and the head's too far for me to reach. And actually, it's looking what I probably really need to be using. Wait. All right. I got an achievement for completing a wash tag pass while being like on this little lift thing. Okay. Yeah, we're just a droid. In the Star Wars universe, we don't get rights. Okay. So I need to clean up where it's got, like, the big gashes on the front. Alright. It is kind of cool, like, walking around on top of this and, like, cleaning it gradually and doing all that, seeing, like, all the detail. That's gotta be an interesting thing to do as the devs, like, you're not just making a model of this so you could fly past and hit in your ship, so you don't really care if the details are that high. But because you have to actually, like, stand on it and walk around on it, you have to have, like, far, far more detail. Because the person's gonna spend a lot of time looking at it. Okay. Alright. The AT-AT seems smaller than expected? Not really, considering it's just a troop transport. And they only depict them as having maybe a dozen or so stormtroopers in them and all that. So if you consider this spot here is supposed to feel like a dozen or so people. This is about what I would have expected. That said, in Star Wars, AT-ATs have to be like one of the worst designed things, like, by all means, for cinematic and yada yada, but like from the consideration of the Empire, you've got this really tall, cumbersome thing, it's slow, it's precarious, it's ponderous, it makes for like an easy target for, you know, quote-unquote all-terrain. It's pretty crap at all-terrain. Versus, like, I think they were Legends, I think they got recanonized, but they had the AT-MTs, which were instead of, like, these big, tall, ponderous things like this, it's like someone took an AT-AT and they squished it down really close to the ground and gave it, like, 6 or 8 legs that had more articulation from the outside. And it's like, yeah, no, it's actually a good vehicle. It's not top-heavy. It's got a nice low center of gravity. It's got a nice wide stable area. You can knock out a couple of legs before it wouldn't be able to really move anymore. Like, that's what it should be. I mean, for the argument of hitting mines, though, you would still have to worry about, like, the foot hitting a mine. Considering they demonstrated the weak spots on this thing is its feet. That literally all they had to do was get a tow cable and wrap up its ankles to take it out easy. How's it feel to work for the Empire? Do they provide good benefits? No, because I'm not a person, I'm a droid. I'm literal property in the Star Wars universe. What do you think he was doing here? Unusual for someone of his stature to be part of a ground assault. Don't ask questions. Your squad mate, cadet. Not a good oil change? No, they use discount oil. It's made from porgs. Not because porgs are any good or highly available. It's just Empire doing Empire things. Oh, there we go. It's 3. So I'm trying to get this one to update because it's right there. It's a little lip there, I think, is what's preventing it from getting counted. Water, sure, buddy. Hey, I mean, we did Owen Lars's farm before this, and I was like, okay, these people spend their whole like time doing this like trace amounts of water as they're living, and yeah, we're just gonna go blasting away at this with a pressure washer. Okay, we got this one. So I think it's fair to assume the next map will be Bespin. If we are following what's going on. It's only been forcibly brought in by the Empire. Bespin would be the next logical place in the series. Okay. And just clean all this up. Yeah, because so far the maps we've done is we did Owen and Baru's, home. And then we did the cantina. And then we went straight from the cantina to Hoth. I was getting a bit sleepy from watching this game. Must be the white noise pressure bar thing. Oh yeah, it's one of the reasons I liked, you know, when we did play this a little bit way in the past, the first one. It was always a game I liked to wrap upstream with when I had like an hour or two or whatever. You know, like not enough time to really get anything going in RimWorld or Project Zomboid, you know, just pop in, do whatever. So we broke this out a couple of times, the first one. Okay. Is this only Classic Trilly? I'm guessing probably only Classic. Because it's supposed to be 6 maps. And we had 2 maps that would be A New Hope. And then this would be Empire Strikes Back. So if that holds true, like the pattern so far, the assumption then would be we would get another Empire Strikes Back map, which would then be followed by 2 Return of the Jedi maps. Alright. And that's where her ankles broke. Let's see. Okay, that's good. If it wasn't for the classic, then Lothal Fuel Depot would have been possibly made an appearance. That would have been a pretty wild out there decision to include the Lothal Fuel Depot. All right. And just working our way up here. Because I'm not realistically going to be able to do this all in one go. I'm going to have to climb up and all that. I appreciate it's big enough that you can't actually aim all the way from down here to the top and reach. All right. Imagine they... That's you're talking more viscera cleanup detail. Or crime scene cleaner. Alright, so got that leg all cleaned up. Well, that was the whole thing that Viscera Cleanup detail is supposed to be, is it wasn't obviously like Star Wars and dealing with children and all that, but like, the idea was, you know, you're the people who showed up after Doom Guy got done with a room, or like, the Half-Life characters, or whoever. So you're going in there and like everything's just annihilated and gibbed and all that. Duke Nukem, Quake, choose your poison. You just gotta tidy up everything afterwards. Alright. If we can get the worst with this, we can do touch-up. Behind every successful main protagonist, there's a poor guy having to do cleanup. Not everyone. Sometimes you blow up the place that you were doing that at to a point of utter annihilation. And then, you know, sometimes it explodes in space. But every first-person shooter, yeah, pretty much. But why did he head south? All the large transports were to the north. If you ask me, he's after the Corellian freighter. No one asked you. Medical bay secured, sir. Understood. Proceed to North Hangar. It's gonna be interesting to get into that area down below and try and deal with it. Alright. I thought I already got all the toe flaps. I must have missed a few. Yeah, no, I'm noticing that I had missed this leg. Alright. This sounds like your old printer from when you were a kid. My old printer as a kid went... and took like 10 minutes to print a page. Good old dot matrix. We had your like ream of paper would slowly pull in one page at a time. Extra points was also track speed. Yeah, you could use it either way, and it typically was you would have it on the paper feed, where it just had like the little holes along the edge. Me and my brothers used to love it when like my dad had to print a bunch of stuff out, or like for some reason the paper wasn't good or whatever, and so then we'd have all that. All right. All right. Kids these days will never know the folding feed papers. Oh yeah, where you'd like fold, like you'd fold and then fold and then fold and then fold. That was definitely the classic. The parent is busy with something, and they show you how to do that real quick, and then they know you're like entertained for like the next 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes or so. And all it cost them was some paper. Okay. Have you had a job where your main printers were dot matrix tractor fed units? This is an era of high-speed printers. People ask the boss why I didn't use high-speed. His response is, "Do you know how much toner costs?" Oh yeah, no, I've had that conversation a number of times back when like you really did need a printer, at the time. And it was like, what printer would you recommend? It's like, okay, are you going to be printing like once in a very long time, or are you going to be printing a lot? Because if you're printing more than just occasionally, very genuinely, it was worth dropping a bunch of money and getting yourself a laser printer. Yep, we are pressure washing, and AT-AT. This is the third map we've done. So we've done Luke's childhood home, which definitely feels like it's two of the three maps. Well, actually, I mean, three of the three maps have all seemed very impractical places to pressure wash. A literal desert twice, where like water is a precious resource worth farming, and, you know, a frozen wasteland. Yeah, that's the assumption, is it's 2 per movie. Yeah, let's move you. Oh, and we have our hover scissor lift. That's probably safe, right? Also, can we get a shout out for that's not what I want to do. A shout out for Ultrasaurus if at all possible. Trying to avoid clicking out of the screen. Not that this game has a big problem with it, it's just, you know, manage things. But for those who haven't seen, Ultrasaurus, absolutely fantastic content creator. I also don't know how you haven't seen it if you've been here for more than 30 seconds. But, was doing some Mind Mogul yesterday, so if, anyone remembers when I did that a little while back. Wait, you can move this left and right? Oh! Oh, you can shift that left and right, that's so cool. The game sucked you in? Yeah, no, it's good. My only complaint was like, with how claustrophobic it can get in there as you start doing stuff. There's definitely I'm not going to get addicted to this in the same way I would, like, Satisfactory. Like, you know, I went for, like, big time for a while, but then once it started getting, you know, really kind of saturating rooms, it's like, okay, this is very limiting. And while it's kind of fun from, like, a not quite puzzle challenge side of things, of being like, okay, how am I fitting this? There's definitely a point where there's kind of a hard limit on how big you can make things. So it's definitely like an addiction, but it's addiction you kind of go, okay, well, I've done my addicted week, or addicted couple days. Now I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Are you liking the DLC? It's good so far. I honestly haven't played that much Power Wash Simulator 2. I played the first one a bunch, and I played this one a little bit. And I meant to play a bunch more. It just hasn't happened. But I'm liking it. I'm honestly been trying to guess like the other maps and don't, you know, people who know don't spoil. My guess is the next maps are going to be Bespin, you know, aka Cloud City, probably Jabba's Palace. And then, I'm not sure what they'd use for the last one for Return of the Jedi, because they could do the Emperor's throne room, but have to be before the confrontation for fairly obvious reasons. Yeah, I've already done the Mos Eisley Tavern. Ewok Village? I wouldn't be against it. That would be an odd choice. Where did... Alright, I'll just grab the other one, that's fine. Yeah, no, the Ewoks did have a big thing and all that. But, like, what are you gonna do? Pressure wash the literal woods? Yeah, no, that's the thing. I was saying they could have they could have you pressure wash the Death Star throne room, like, for the very last one. It just had to be before, like, everything goes down. It's gonna be a little tricky to get into some of these nooks and crannies up here. All right. New orders received. Go to Lord Vader's shuttle. He's demanding all ships pursue the escaped Corellian freighter. Looks like you're right, TX-138. Now move it. Okay. It amuses me that it's large upper hip. Is there a small upper hip? I feel like when it's your only upper hip, it's just your upper hip. You're at 94%, so I would expect soon they'll start putting targets on pieces we haven't finished yet. Okay. Completely forgot I still have the rest of the head to do. All right. All right, so I probably need to do here. Let's get this last area cleaned up underneath better. Where did you go? There you are. Okay, because we could just keep going on all this inside area. Okay, so that's as high as we go. All right. Okay, so I have to get underneath the head as well. Alright. We got just a last little bit on the undercarriage here. The problem is I think we actually have a number of parts that aren't handled. It's just all of them are only just barely not handled. Okay. Okay, so I've got more armor up there to deal with. I think there's a spot right on the front there I probably can't reach from here. Yep. Alright, so we can clean up all this that is missing on the front. Okay. Okay, so one thing I'm going to need to do is grab this thing. Put it on the back here. It looks like I got quite a few spots I hadn't quite reached from here. Okay, so it looks like it mostly missed the very front and back. That's probably because I used the lift on the very front and back at the beginning. I couldn't reach a whole bunch of stuff. And I didn't realize I could move this thing left and right either. It is. It's Pressure Washer Simulator 2, but they just came out with a new DLC, I believe today, that adds 6 Star Wars maps. There we go. Okay, we got a little bit over here. Yeah, this one's taking a little bit of work. I'm not seeing... There's a spot. There. That's probably one I need to actually get on top. Okay, there's a spot right up here. Yes, there's a spot on that tube somewhere. Must be the outside panel. Yeah, so spot in the armor right there. Okay, let's grab you. All right. All right. And done. Oh, that got him complete the AT-AT job? Decontamination and cleansing protocols are complete. Return to your charging station for immediate extraction and redeployment to Super Star Destroyer Executor. Oh! Right. No, don't start the ad. Snooze. Aha, got it. Okay. Give me 2 seconds, because we're going to probably be wrapping up. I don't want to put in the time for a whole other level. But, we'll just take a look. Okay, so the next map would be the Star Destroyer Executor Bridge. We're just going to take a quick peek. I'm not going to actually do the level right now, because I need to be wrapping up for the night. Is this supposed to be after the A-Wing smashed to the front? Because in the movie, I'm pretty sure this is the one that the A-Wing smashes into the cockpit of it. But either way, so that said... Oh, asteroid, gotcha. But with all that said, thank you so much for tuning in, but I need to be wrapping up for the night. I will likely be streaming again tomorrow. Not sure what we'll be playing, because we've had a whole range of games that all dropped out. We did a bunch today. We started the stream with Corsair Cove, had a good time with that, did some Go-Go Town, that was fun, and then wound it down with the Power Wash Simulator 2 with the Star Wars DLC. So a day of just like one game after the other game after the other game, which is fine. That's probably good, because like it is one of those days that the devs just seem... It's been a weird thing recently that you'll just have like a whole big spell of nothing, and then all the devs will release stuff on the same day or roughly, which is fine. We'll probably be getting back to RimWorld soon, but it was nice to kind of take a day and do just some random other things. But with all that said, if you're watching over on YouTube, the stream will be ending abruptly for you because I do not have a host ready, but thanks so much for tuning in. And for everyone over here on Twitch, if you're not already following the channel, don't forget to drop that follow. That way you can find your way back here in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and find someone